Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on probably is the hottest day of the year today down in Brighton. I think we've reached the dizzy heights of 15 degrees. So no, I appreciate you taking the time out for your lunch. There's just a few more people coming into to the session. Yeah, we're going to record this session. We're going to start recording now. We'll share the recording with you afterwards, and obviously for GDPR we will share this around. So if you don't want to be seen, it's probably best to turn off your video now. A few more people coming in. All right, I think if Jenny can let everybody else in as we go, we'll crack on. But it's great to see so many of you joining us today. So yeah, we've got a really good agenda for you. We're going to be meeting Mark, who's one of our students. He's going to be talking about his experience with us. And Robin's going to be leading that interview, who is part of our career services team and has helped Mark along the way to where he is now. We're also going to hear from Matt Everett, who heads up the project management team, just to talk about some of the opportunities that are currently in project management, and to answer some of your questions which have already been sent in. I'll just give you a quick overview. I'm John O'Cox, head of marketing. I've been at the Learning People for, it'll be coming up to 8 years. Which, that's a long time at any company, and I've said it's been a really exciting journey, and we're kind of going from strength to strength. We started off, we inaugurated 11 years ago, and since then we've now got offices in Brighton where we are. Robin's over in Dublin. We've got a student care team and career services team over in Dublin. We've got offices in New Zealand, in Christchurch, and also in Australia, in Sydney. We've got a French branch, and we're looking to kind of expand into America. And it's been a really exciting journey. And I think one of the key reasons why I've enjoyed working for the Learning People so much is because of what we offer and what we get to see. And that's the whole reason of putting on these webinars and seeing our student outcomes. And yes, it's my job to market the Learning People courses and to get our brand out there, but the most special thing and the most wonderful thing is to see someone find a career pathway, enter that career pathway, and then for us to see that 360 service at the end of it when they enter the industry. So yeah, so that's a kind of a brief overview. We've helped over 30,000 students worldwide into entering kind of new careers in tech and project management specifically. Last week we actually won the award for which we're all really proud about. It's a Skillsoft Partner Award for EMEA, and our learning platform is called Percipio, and that's owned by Skillsoft. So if you do enroll with us, or you start learning with us, and that will be the actual platform that you learn with. So that was really cool. I think we'll probably hand over to Matt. If you can kind of give a brief overview of your role, and start off by talking about some of the opportunities in project management, particularly throughout COVID, would be a good place to start.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Appreciate that. So yeah, hi everyone. My name's Matt. My role is I head up the project management, enrolment and consultation team here at the Learning People. So most of you on this call would have been speaking to one of the members of my team about your career in project management and receiving advice from them. And like Johnny, I've been here, I think it will be 8 years this June as well. I think we're pretty much on the same induction team there, mate. But yeah, over that time, I've seen everything there is to see within the world of project management from an education perspective. I've seen courses come and go. I've seen certifications go from strength to strength. And I've seen and heard literally thousands of different stories from different students about what they're looking to achieve. And the advice that we've given students now is very different to the advice that we would have given when I would have been doing consultations myself maybe 8 years ago. I think what I'd like to do now is just answer, in theory, a couple of questions that we typically get asked when we're on consultations, because there will be people in this waiting room, or sorry, on this webinar, that have been in project management for upwards of 25 years, and there'll be people that have done maybe 25 minutes of research into the topic and looking at it as a potential career path. And I think something that's really important for you guys to know is that the one commonality you have is the need to be certified. What certifications you might need might be different, but you need to be certified. And I think that the mix of the clientele that we speak to has changed dramatically in the last 3 or 4 years. So if we went back 3 or 4 years ago, I'd say 80% of the consultations we did were people that were looking at a complete career change, and only 20% of people were experienced. Whereas now it is definitely a 50-50 mix. And I think a lot of that comes down to needing to stand out in probably the most competitive job market that this generation has ever seen. So what is the outlook for project managers? That's something that we're getting asked repeatedly. You know, with a pandemic has come concerns about, is it worth getting certified? What career path should I pick? Is project management where I need to invest my time and my energy and my education in? Is it viable? The answer to that, thankfully, is an overwhelming yes. I cannot stress like how fortunate we are to be getting people certified in an area that is I hate to say it, recession proof. You know, it's future proof. The nature of project work is that you'll find as many project managers responsible for downsizing businesses, unfortunately, at this moment, as you do people that are upscaling businesses. That is proven in the industries that we speak to. I mean, some of you might have retail backgrounds and be aware how much your industry has been changed. You might have hospitality backgrounds. There are still people hiring project managers in those industries because those industries have changed or they need downsizing. Similarly, a monster employment prospect report came out very recently that highlighted areas like engineering and healthcare are on the other end of the scale. You know, they're going from strength to strength. It's something like 85% of healthcare organizations are looking to expand and recruit. Over 70% of people in manufacturing are looking to expand. And I think that that's the thing as well. So if you're one of those people that are considering going into project management, please take a lot of heart in knowing that you can work in any industry you pick. And if you're one of those people that have been a project manager for decades in an industry, in a sector like retail or hospitality, that you are worried and understanding a bit apprehensive, take solitude that your skill set, as long as it's coupled with the right certification, is going to mean that you can just go into another sector and into another industry and take those transferable skills with you and absolutely continue to fly and arguably earn more money, because salaries in project management, let's be honest, you're looking at the bottom line, what's the salary going to be? Well, two things on that. Salaries are going up because they want to attract the best candidates for jobs. They want to encourage people to get the right qualifications so that they can become the best candidates, and therefore they're willing to pay more. So people like you on this call might sit there and go, yeah, do you know what? It is worth a few £1,000s to get these qualifications if I'm going to see a pay increase. And if you are a junior person and you're thinking about going into project management, the salary shouldn't put you off. It's one of the few industries that I've ever seen and worked in where the average salary goes up with your age range. It's quite eerie. You know, the average wage of someone in their 20s in project management is about 29. In their 30s, it's about 39. In their 40s, it's about 49,000. You see where I'm going with this, and that's in your 50s and 60s. And then when you're getting up to director level, the limitations are you're looking six-figure salaries. So it offers something for everybody. It offers a salary that's competitive for any part of time and part in your life, and the opportunities are only increasing regardless of the sector and the industry. So if you have any questions, we'll cover this off at the end, but if you have any sort of uncertainties about what qualification is right for you, my team are the ones to speak to. Combined, we've got over 50 years experience between us, and specifically talking to people like yourselves on this webinar about what qualification is right for you. But so there you go. Yeah, that's a brief background about what we are all about.
Thanks, Matt. No, that's great. It's really interesting from my perspective, working in digital marketing. We hear a lot about transferable skills, but we say project management really is everywhere. You know, from in the aviation industry, from wedding planning to hospitality. You know, everybody needs a manager to manage a project over the line. But maybe it's an old school view of looking at it. You'd see a typical project manager wearing a construction hat and on a building site. Where
Yeah.
You know, IT and project management is a huge market, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, Johnny, you know me quite well to know that I'm a big fan of keeping an eye on what the industry trends are. You go back 5 or 6 years ago, and we were talking anywhere between 25 to 35% of all of our inquiries came from a construction background. that number now is in single figures for the first time than I can remember. You know, project manager, like I say, is no longer the guy in the hard hat going around saying, oh, here's the purse strings, I need to manage these tightly, and what are you doing, you know, with a clipboard. It is everywhere. And every industry, like I said, you mentioned there, wedding planning. It could be wedding planning, it could be building a football stadium, but it could be a marketing campaign, as you know, it could be a new mobile phone launch, it could be something down to somebody working in operations, implementing a new IT software system, whatever it is. And that's the thing, as long as you know how to plan, you know how to manage people, you know how to manage time, and you're good with finances. And if you're not, we'll train you to be. But those are the things, those are the skills. And I think anybody that works in any sector understands how important those are. One of my fondest recent memories is somebody that was working as a project manager setting up a COVID testing site. You know, the amount of planning, and they had decades of experience in, I think it was retail project management, but the transferable skills were there for all to see. You needed to operate from a plan, you needed a time scale, you needed to roll it out, you needed to implement it, and you needed to hand it over to the people then that were working on site. And I think I think project work can also actually be quite rewarding. And I think people often miss that side of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it can be a really fun job. And always, you know, I really like Adrian Tolliday, one of our students who graduated with us and went over to Dubai to build an aquarium. I mean, that's cool, isn't it?
That is pretty cool. We've heard it all over the years. We really have, and I think it's that's the brilliant thing about the versatility of project management. It's in every industry, and every industry is different. If you are a healthcare project manager at the moment, we all know the trials and tribulations that those guys are going through. But those sort of people will even find themselves planning children's parties or weddings at the end of the day. The skill set is the same. Everything is relative, but just very different in what the end goal is. And I must admit, I love that. And it's one of the reasons why my team love the job they do, because they speak to everybody from different backgrounds every single day, from people that want to get off the tools through to people that have managed, you know, £100 million plus budgets on some incredibly impactful sort of projects as well. I love it. I really do. So yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of Adrian. The aquarium story is a brilliant one.
Yeah, it's good. There's a good testimonial on the website. So let's bring in Robin. I think, you know, one of our main goals at Learning People. Hi, Robin. One of our main goals at Learning People is to, you know, for anyone that comes to us, we demystify an industry. And first and foremost, so you know, you understand what the industry entails and what kind of pathway is right for you, and make that bespoke. But compiled with that is kind of the 360 services that we provide, you know, after you enroll, and a big part of that is career services, which Robin is a key part of. So yeah, what's the weather like in Dublin, firstly?
Yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's really sunny. It's quite warm, and it probably is about 15 degrees as well, but 15 degrees here is tropical.
Well, enjoy the 5 days you get of it each year. So.
I know, yeah. And it'll be snowing in about 2 days' time.
Yeah, it's been funny, hasn't it?
That's how things go here. We like to mix it up. But thank you. Yeah, so I am one of the career services consultants, and I'll just give you kind of a bit of an overview of what we do, because this is different to what any other providers provide. This is a unique part of Learning People, what we can provide. So I'll let you know kind of, you know, how it works. Basically, our main focus at Career Services is to support students to become job ready, to navigate the job market and navigate a career change if that's applicable to you. How we do that is we've designed a 3-phase process that we guide students through. Phase 1 focuses on building your professional brand. So you receive a pack with 3 ebook guides that focus on research, because defining your direction is really important. Focus on building your CV, excuse me, and highlighting, exactly like Jono and Matt mentioned, those transferrable skills, which is a huge part of phase 1. So you will have a consultant like myself that you will work one-to-one with on pulling those kind of transferrable skills out and framing them in a way, framing your hospitality experience in project management. That can be one of the most stressful and overwhelming parts when you are doing a career change, as some of you here will be considering. So at least you have that kind of step-by-step one-to-one support as you go through that. And when we move you to phase 2, which focuses on networking. Now, this will be slightly easier for those of you that are, let's say, project professionals, but, you know, and you guys maybe wouldn't struggle with the CV so much. So point that I'm getting here is we tailor this to the needs of each individual student, particularly from a project management perspective. You're all looking at completely different sectors. You're all coming from different sectors, or you have been established in a particular vertical maybe that isn't as flourishing anymore. But we work the process around to make that suit you and your circumstances. Phase 2, like I said, we focus on networking. Now, this is an incredibly effective way in terms of your job search. It tends to get neglected nowadays, however, due to the fact that the online job boards exist. You know, it's almost like a reflex. You go straight on, you can apply now. It's really easy. Your CV goes off into the void and you never hear anything back, right? We've all heard the stories if we haven't experienced it ourselves. And this is a product of the fact that the online job boards only represent 30% of available opportunities in the labour market. So immediately tells us that it's not a true reflection of what's out there. And also, if this is your only method of job search, it's almost guaranteed to take you longer to find a job. So with that in mind, at phase 2, we work with students to create a strong and targeted plan where you're balancing multiple different methods of application to give you a stronger probability of achieving a positive result. And in that, you have regular calls, could be weekly, could be bi-weekly, about altering that process and making it suit to your strengths and your weaknesses. So it's incredibly tailored for where you need to go. And I put extra emphasis on this because our students that do have a networking plan that they use in tandem with their online job board applications, those are the people that get more interviews than those that just apply online on their own. So it's a really, really pivotal part. Phase 3 of career services covers interview tips. It also covers job application techniques and how to beat that dreaded applicant tracker system that everybody's so terrified about. There is a way to beat it. I can help you do that. And we also work with you then on advising and on how to build effective relationships with recruiters. That's as another method to bring into your wheelhouse. And the support is, as I said, tailored for the needs of each individual student, but it's also available until you land that role, right? We will work with you until you achieve that project focused role that you are aiming for. Yeah, so that's kind of the overview and how the process works of what we do at Career Services. And I'd like to take this opportunity to segue in one of our wonderful students that's here today. Mark, if you could join us here now, open yourself up to the floor. It'd be great to just kind of tell everybody a little bit about your background so far.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Hopefully I can see some waving going there, so I'm guessing that means I am coming through loud and clear. So my name is Mark, as Robin has mentioned, and I've been studying with the Learning People since about October, towards the end of last year. My background is in retail. I've been just over 15 years in retail, in supermarkets, and then with one of the largest global furnishing companies. I did various roles, from sales, a little bit of marketing, hospitality, finance and operations, lots of different things, but also I did some projects, which were mainly rebuild projects, you might see as retail fit out, without any education in that side of things. As I think many of you'll be familiar with, once you're in a job a while, you learn a lot, you pick up a lot, and suddenly you can do things that you didn't think you could do. So I ended up doing a number of major projects in the sort of £500,000 to £2 million budget. So these were quite chunky projects to do, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed it, and that is why I decided to make a career out of project management, essentially.
Great. And what made you and what maybe gave you the push to get certified? Because like you mentioned that you have project experience. What was the moment that made you think I need to get certified?
There's a couple of things. I think when you're in an industry and you end up by default maybe running some projects in there, a lot of it is your knowledge combined with common sense. So you get in, you do the things, you look after the people, you take care of the budget, and in the end, you produce whatever it is. But I was initially pushed because I decided that I wanted to make a career out of it. And I felt that it made sense to then learn from the mistakes of others. You get told to learn from your own mistakes, but you haven't got time to make them all yourself. So how do I learn from others' mistakes? We go into some standardized ways of working, some project management guidelines, methods, etc. So that's why I decided to study and become certified, so that I would fill in those gaps, that I would start to learn what I didn't know. So that's why I went into the project management. And I guess the third element, the certification, and the third part was to differentiate myself from the others. There's a huge number of people that have project management qualifications, but if you compare the number that do with the available opportunities, the roles, the growing need for project managers, it's actually it seems to me anyway, a relatively small percentage at this moment that are certified. So right now, it's a great opportunity to differentiate yourself from the rest.
Brilliant, yeah, and I love the point of to get to know what you don't know. You know, it takes that extra kind of research or wondering if you're on the right path out of it, because you know it's properly certified and it's the standard, it's the gold standard of what you need to do. That's brilliant.
I thought just on that, Robin, as well, is something that we get asked a lot of the time from people like yourself, Mark, like senior people or people that have been doing project work for a long time. Realigning yourself to best commercial practice is the best way to eliminate those holes in your own knowledge. You know, we speak to some people, and it can be quite humbling for some people when they hear one of the team go, okay, you've been running projects for years, it's great, but you don't know everything. You know, you can always learn. And when you have designated bodies that are recognized worldwide, the chances are they might know a little bit more about the day-to-day running of projects. So yeah, I think it's one of the often missed benefits of doing a project management certification, realigning yourself to best practice and filling in those holes for sure.
I think one of the dangers of, like I did, where running projects within not just a sector but a specific business that I knew really well, you would get it over the line. You would get it to the end point because you know people, because you have some common sense, you work hard, etc., etc. And you can start to feel like, well, I got that over the line, I must know what I'm doing. And you do to an extent, but then you do have to be humble, as you mentioned. There are many things that you don't know, and ways. I know from the studying that I've done, there's so many things I've picked out that I know I would do better next time, because I learned that technique, that reflection, that thought, whatever it is.
Mark, did you have, were you a project manager in your DNA? Was this something that you always wanted to do? What spurred from your initial inspiration to becoming a PM?
It was actually doing the role. I ran, I guess, 3 specific projects. And some of the things that I really enjoyed about running those projects were having a beginning, a middle, and an end, actually producing something. I like creating something. And I don't mean I'm the creative one per se. I like bringing the knowledge together, the capabilities together, the skill sets together to then end up with something new, with something different, whether that's a physical thing or it's a process or a routine, etc. So I really like that. I really enjoyed being the center and pulling the different threads together and putting the structures in place and building the relationships to help others to be the best that they can be. Because in the end, the project manager, generally speaking, doesn't actually do any of the work. The production of the product, it's other people's skills that do that. And I really enjoyed enabling them to do that. Yeah, to doing those projects, I find I really, really enjoy this. This is something that I want to do. And then moved on to the certification and so on. So probably it was something in my DNA. Didn't know it, but it was, I guess, revealed to me, essentially.
And then when you came to us, because you studied the PMP collection, Or you?
I'm still working. I'm still working on PMP, the last one. Yeah.
And did you have an idea that that was what you wanted to do before you came to us, or was that what it was? Martin was your career consultant, wasn't he?
Yes. I'm guessing, like many people on this call, I did a little bit of my own research, which probably muddied things a little bit more than anything. It was a struggle to find clarity on how the certifications work, how project management is discussed, and the language around it, and the different ways of working. So I had some conversations with some friends and colleagues who are working in project management, and that helped. And then coming to yourselves, to Martin, as you say, and having the discussion with him helped me to understand how to choose the pathway that I chose in the end. In terms of doing the, I guess, doing the PMP one. So I've done Prince 2, Foundation Practitioner, Prince 2 Agile Practitioner, and now working on PMP. The question for me was APM versus PMP. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there's essentially two bodies that offer really, really good project management courses and certifications and so on, and they're both great. It's a bit like Cadbury's versus Galaxy, you know, they're both amazing. From my understanding, PMP has a more global recognition, and there's a fairly good chance that I will leave the UK at some point and want to work abroad. So in the end, I went for PMP. But from what I can see, I'm also an associate member of the APM, and I can see that theirs is excellent as well. So in the end, you just need to pick one.
I think that's where the sorry, just to like to what you're saying, Mark, is quite common. You know, it's one of the questions we get asked quite frequently is, you know, the APM versus PMI element of it. And that's why you're best suited to have a conversation with your consultant, or if that question is something you considered and you're already in consultation with a careers consultant, bring it up with them. They'll give you very straight down the line advice about the benefits and pros and cons of both. And I think one of the things that people tend to take for granted or think just will never happen, or it keeps getting pushed down the line, is digitization. And one thing that's happened from the pandemic is that's accelerated digitization and the ability to work for international companies from the UK. So Mark, you may be may leave the UK at some point, but a lot of the people we've spoken to over the last 6 months have secured jobs working for companies based in Europe or based in the States, and they will recognize PMI perhaps over APM. If you're predominant in the UK, yeah, the APM has fantastic recognition, but we now work in a global economy, and having an internationally recognized qualification over 150 countries worldwide, recognized as the global standard, the PMI element that comes with that just does represent that seal of approval internationally that you're aligned to best commercial practice. So yeah, it's a good point.
Robin, one thing that you touched on earlier was about having, you know, for getting job interviews was, and part of what career services offer is having a good network. And I was quite cynical about LinkedIn for a number of years, and I've kind of just got up to speed with it, and how actually it is quite important.
Yes.
I know that Mark's got an interview coming up. How did LinkedIn affect that process and and getting interviews in general?
It happens all the time, doesn't it? Yeah, go on, Mark.
I guess this the career services was maybe a little bit of a pleasant surprise for me. When I decided to go with learning people, okay, I knew it was there. It's on the list. I'm like, okay, learning services, career services, right? You know, I've been a senior manager for 10 years. I know what I'm doing. I know how to job. I've employed other people. I know what I'm doing. And the truth is, particularly I feel when you've been with one company, how to then present yourself to the rest of the world that's outside of that bubble, it's a little trickier, or it's a little different, or it's just not something that I was familiar with or ready to do, in truth. And that's where I think the career services element has been invaluable with those. And I had a little moment whenever Robin was talking about the 3 e-booklets, and I was kind of thinking, oh, blah, right, 3 e-booklets, brilliant. The truth is they were great. And I went through them step by step, bashed out the LinkedIn profile, it made it so much better than the piece of nonsense that it was. Aligned it then with the CV, so then if an employer looks at my CV and looks at my LinkedIn profile, they will see exactly the same thing. So there's no questions being really like, oh, is he not? So all of these things are very, very, very important. And the LinkedIn itself is something that I had pretty much ignored 10, 15 years. And then suddenly you feel a little bit guilty. You're like, oh, hi, I paid no attention to you. Now I want to be your best friend. So I would say, even for those of you who are not currently looking, or you're in a role or whatever, do pay attention to LinkedIn. The bare minimum actually returns a lot. There's a lot of connection. There are a lot of people who want to work better and want to share knowledge that they have. They want to learn from you. You can learn a lot from them. And if you are in the jobs market, there's lots to be seen there. There's lots of connections to be made. Robin shared that 30% figure for jobs on jobs board. That's a bit astounding. I was a bit shocked whenever I understood that. And of course, it makes sense when you talk around it. Like, yeah, that all makes sense. But 30%, that's a lot. That's 70% you're missing out on if you're not making that network and those connections.
I think that's the biggest change. I said earlier about having done this for 8 years, I've noticed changes with qualifications. Yeah, that's true. You know, look at change management, how massive that's become. You know, Prince 2 on its own, is that enough still? You know, but changes like that happen all of the time. But it's the recruitment side of things that's absolutely just completely changed. Being certified is obviously a priority. It's a first port of call, but it is no longer enough on its own. I know it sounds like, you know, we are providing you guys with qualifications, and I'm sitting here saying that on its own isn't enough. That should stick with a lot of you. You know, having one qualification like Prince is no longer necessarily enough for the vast majority of candidates, but having multiple qualifications isn't enough. What a weird thing for me to sit here and tell you guys, but it's not, because that's what Robin is about. That's what the team there is all about. And the way that recruitment, and I think this is more of a message for people that are more experienced, have had longer careers. You know, the recruitment world has changed, and you have to keep up or you will be left behind. And you can sit there scratching your head a year from now going, well, I've got the qualifications they told me to. Yeah, but did you really look at what makes you stand out with the learning people? It is that service. So it's great to hear you talk about that, Mark, in that respect.
And so, in terms of your future plans as a project manager, Mark, I know you've got a pending interview on Sunday with the Home Office. So where will that take you if hopefully you get the job?
When he gets
Friday, actually.
When you get the job.
Very, very, very soon. That particular role in the Home Office, working with immigration, as it will be, I guess the civil service was not something that was hugely on my radar. Had it been, I probably would have gone APM instead of PMP, because the civil service, for those who are interested, is more, they're quite closely tied up with APM. So the role is as a project support, as a project support officer / deputy project manager. It's just quite a long title. And it would be reporting directly to a project manager, taking responsibility for elements of a project or all of a smaller project, which is great. For me, I see that I'm pivoting a little bit at this point in my career. So I'm happy to take a step back, perhaps it might be seen, in order to then go forward. And I can see that there's lots of opportunities within the civil service to grow, to progress, to learn. So I'm quite excited about that. Yeah, I've got the fingers crossed. And Robin and I are going to have a chat and see.
We're going to make it happen, Mark.
We're going to smash it out.
Yeah.
Robin, you'll support me on this as well. How, like, Mark, it's a fantastic story, but it's quite common. We've noticed that over, like, we've done. Some of you may have even been on previous webinars with other students, but like, say, you use the word pivot there, Mark. For some people, it's a full 180 a lot of the time. From completely different backgrounds, and it happens all the time. Like the last webinar, we joined with people that are now working as senior project managers at a major supermarket chains, for example, that have come from a completely different background, and it happens. And I want you guys to really feel encouraged by that. Mark's story is one of, well, hundreds that we could tell you about, testimonials from people that have been in similar situations that have then gone out there and smashed that interview and got the job. And these are people that a year ago at the start of the pandemic had real serious reservations about what to do next, genuine concerns about their employability and their financial security. And they took the plunge and they've got the results. And, a year from now, you could be one of those people that look back and think, wow, I'm really glad I'm in a completely different sector. I'm now running projects in the fashion industry, or whatever it might be. And I've just been working for the post office or something. Do you know what I mean? It could be that sort of an extreme difference. Don't ask why I thought fashion. But
if I end up in the fashion,
it might do. You never know, Mark.
We're all in trouble.
But it's one of those things that transferability now is more common than it ever has been. But those stories are only common because of the guidance and support that you get from that 3-stage progress from career services.
Yeah,
that I 100% believe.
So just we are running over here, but it's been a fascinating story so far. So what advice would you give to other people who are just starting out on their journey, Mark, unsure what project management course to study, or even to get into the study it at all?
I guess my overriding advice would be is basically do it, but have some good discussions first. Both with the Learning People team. I guess I'm not trying to blow smoke, but one of the reasons I chose the Learning People was, and I talked to other companies offering the same courses that I've done with the Learning People, and other companies were offering them for less, but they were also lying to me. They said, "Oh, this price is only available until the end of today." It's like, who do you think you're talking to? If the price is available today, it's available tomorrow. I do not have time for your nonsense. When I spoke with the Learning People, very straightforward conversations, a good back and forward, genuine advice, and without the pressure. Or certainly I didn't feel the pressure to sign up and go with it. So I think for those of you on the call, I believe you can have a genuine open conversation and receive good advice from these guys, but then also talk to other people. Talk to you probably know a project manager. You can definitely find someone on LinkedIn. You can have a chat with some people and try to understand a little bit about yourself and why you think you might want to do it or be good at it, and what sectors you want to go into. And that will all help to inform your decision in which specific courses you might do.
Great. I think, Matt, if you just want to finish off and let people know how they can get in touch. We've just got a slide with your details.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just to round off what Mark was saying there as well, it absolutely speak to people that just, Robin, that's what you've been talking about there, networking.
I was going to say everything comes back to networking.
Doesn't it just? The only thing I'd say about that is if when you're asking people, project managers, their experience, ask them how long that they've been with their current employer or running that current project, because what was good enough 4 or 5 years ago can reveal and the more people you realize this, the more the trend you'll notice. But you speak to people that have been in project management for a long time, and they will probably say along the lines of, "Oh, well, I never needed a qualification," or "Yeah, just get your Prince 2, it'll be fine." Speak to people that are currently in the job market as well. Speak to people that have been hired within the last year on LinkedIn. Look at how long they've been with it. Ask them what they needed then. And the trend that we notice the most is that well, Mark, you said it yourself, isn't it? You got yourself certified to separate yourself from effectively what is the competition. And the wider the portfolio of qualifications you have, the more disciplines you cover. I'm talking Prince, Agile, Change Management, Six Sigma. They cover different areas. So the more approaches you can bring to a project, the better it is, and that shines across in an interview. And let's think about this when you're sat in the interview room waiting to go in and you're looking at the guy or girl across the room and thinking, you might be going for the same job as me. Having the confidence to know that you're freshly educated to industry best practice, that is probably more powerful than anything. Even more than networking, maybe, Robin. But
oh no. I'll catch you outside for that.
No, that's a good point. Networking gets you in the room. The confidence gets you. Yeah, there you go. So we'll agree on that. But I think, yeah, in terms of what the next steps for a lot of you, like I say, a lot of you I'm expecting to already be in conversations or mid-consultation with your careers consultant. Off the back of this, any questions you've got, ping them over, give them a call. You've got their numbers on their email. That's our direct number there as well, where you can book a careers consultation if you're somebody that hasn't had that initial consultation. But if you've got any sort of uncertainties about reaching out, please do. Now is the time. You know, we're coming out of lockdown gradually. The employment sector is bouncing back. Be one of those people that are ready and prepared, rather than one of those people that sits there in 3 months' time and go, oh, right, we're out of lockdown. Now's the time to do it. No. Your future self will thank your current self now for getting in contact and getting that ball rolling. So even if you're just after an initial chat about what the next steps are, do it. If you've got any questions about how to actually complete your enrollment, do it. But yeah, give us a call on that number, drop me an email off the back of the invite and the link you received here, or reach out to your current careers consultant.
Great, thanks, Matt. So we'll edit this video down and we'll send out, probably be tomorrow morning. And we'll get that out to you. Just want to wish Mark good luck for Friday.
Yes, Mark. Yes, good luck.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us as well.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Absolutely. And everyone, thank you for taking the time out for your lunch and whatever it is you're up to on a nice sunny day. So we look forward to speaking to you soon, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.